Welcome back to the Shigeki podcast, where science meets longevity and small daily choices shape your health after 60. I'm Dr. Mark Hyman, and joining me today, as always, is the legendary Dr. Shigeki Hinohara. Today, we're going to challenge everything you thought you knew about baking soda. Yes, that little box sitting in your kitchen cabinet, the one you might use once in a while for baking cookies or deodorizing the fridge, could actually be a biological tool to help your digestion calm inflammation and even improve your sleep. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Mrs. L, a 68-year-old woman who came to me with 3 common complaints: that bloating, fatigue, and waking up at 2 a.m. every night. She had tried probiotics, antacids, and even cut out gluten, but nothing worked. That is, until we added a tiny ritual to her evening routine: a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in warm water. Within a week, her sleep deepened, her belly flattened, and her mind felt clearer.
Yes, Mark, and this is something I've seen for decades. In Japan, we consider sodium bicarbonate not as a medicine, but as a bioregulator. It helps restore balance in a world that constantly pushes our body into stress acidity and overreaction. The problem: fewer than 2% of people over 60 actually understand how to use it properly. Many take too much, take it too often, or worse, ignore its potential entirely. They reach for more pills when they might just need 1 glass of something simple.
So, in today's episode, we're going to explore the real science behind baking soda, how it affects your gut, your joints, your energy levels, and your sleep. You'll learn how to use it safely, when to avoid it, and why it might be the cheapest, most overlooked wellness habit in your home. If you or someone you love over 60 is struggling with digestion, chronic fatigue, or restless sleep, don't skip this. Like, subscribe, and share this episode, because sometimes the answer isn't a new pill. It's an old remedy done right. Let's get started.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly is baking soda? It's called sodium bicarbonate, a naturally occurring compound that's most famous for making cakes rise. But inside your body, it serves a far more important purpose. Sodium bicarbonate is what we call a mild alkalizing agent, meaning it helps neutralize excess acid, especially in your stomach and bloodstream. When your body becomes too acidic, whether from stress-processed foods, poor sleep, or chronic inflammation, cells don't function as well. Digestion slows down, muscles fatigue faster, healing becomes inefficient. That's where baking soda can step in, not as a cure, but as a simple buffer that helps your system return to balance.
Exactly. When you dissolve baking soda in water, it reacts with hydrogen ions and produces a gentle shift in pH. In simpler terms, it helps move your body away from an overly acidic state without shocking the system. I like to think of it not as a medicine, but as an environmental tool. It doesn't fix problems directly like a drug. Instead, it changes the internal terrain, the pH environment, to one where the body can heal itself better.
Yes, this is something ancient systems of medicine have known intuitively for centuries, and now modern research is catching up. Some studies show that mild alkalization from sodium bicarbonate can reduce oxidative stress, improve muscle performance, and even modulate inflammatory markers in chronic conditions like arthritis or kidney disease. But let me be very clear, baking soda is not a replacement for medical treatment. It's not meant to treat disease. What it does offer is a form of support by gently shifting the internal chemistry of your body back toward its natural, healthy state.
And that's where most people get it wrong. They either ignore baking soda because they think it's just for baking, or they overuse it thinking more is better. The truth is, when used in the right way and at the right time, this humble white powder can help support digestion recovery and overall resilience, especially as we age. Up next, we'll dive into some of the most surprising benefits of baking soda that very few people talk about, and exactly how to use it safely and effectively.
Let's kick off with the most common and surprising benefit: relief from acid reflux. You know that burning feeling after a meal, or the discomfort of burping acid into your throat? That's gastric acid or hydrochloric acid, HCl, rising when it shouldn't. Baking soda, being a mild alkaline compound, can neutralize excess stomach acid almost instantly. When mixed with water, it reacts with HCl to form salt water and carbon dioxide, providing fast temporary relief from that burning sensation.
Exactly. And what makes it so effective when used correctly is that it doesn't block acid production like medications do. Instead, it buffers the acid that's already there, reducing the pressure that causes it to rise. In fact, the American Journal of Gastroenterology has noted that sodium bicarbonate is both safe and effective when used occasionally as an emergency remedy for mild reflux, especially in older adults who are trying to reduce medication use. But here's the catch: it's not meant for daily use. Baking soda is powerful, but your stomach acid has a job to do: digest protein and fight pathogens. Overusing alkalizers can reduce acid too much and interfere with digestion.
So what's the right way to use it? Here's a simple method that's helped many of our patients. After a meal, especially one with spicy or acidic foods, wait about 1 hour. Then mix a quarter teaspoon of baking soda into a cup, about 200 milliliters of warm water. Stir well, sip slowly. Use it a maximum of 2 or 3 times a week, and always listen to your body. If symptoms persist, get checked. But for those occasional nights when acid creeps up and ruins your sleep, this little white powder can work wonders, and we're just getting started. Wait until you hear what baking soda can do for your kidneys and your brain.
Let's move on to something that surprises even fitness coaches. Baking soda can actually reduce muscle soreness after exercise. You know that ache you get in your legs the next day after a long walk or some squats? That's often due to a buildup of lactic acid in your muscles, a byproduct of exertion.
Exactly. And as we age, our body becomes less efficient at clearing that lactic acid. That's why many people over 60 feel sore for days after even light activity. Baking soda works as a natural buffer, helping the body neutralize and clear that excess acid faster. There's real science here. A study in the International Journal of Sports Physiology showed that middle-aged adults who took a small amount of baking soda after light exercise had less muscle fatigue and recovered faster compared to those who didn't. Their endurance also improved slightly after just 2 weeks of using it post-exercise.
The idea isn't to replace stretching or hydration, but baking soda adds an extra layer of recovery support, especially for those just starting to move more after being inactive. Here's the simple method. Mix a quarter teaspoon of baking soda into a cup of warm water, about 200 milliliters, and drink it within 30 to 60 minutes after your walk or workout.
But be mindful, don't overdo it. Stick to low doses and only use this method 2 or 3 times per week. And of course, if you have kidney issues or high blood pressure, check with your doctor first. This tiny habit might just help you stay consistent with your movement routine without that next day regret. Let's keep going, because the next benefit involves something most seniors worry about daily: their kidneys.
Let's talk about a benefit that might be the most surprising of all kidney health. If you're over 60, even if your kidneys are normal on paper, they're likely not filtering as efficiently as they did when you were 30. And here's where baking soda steps in. The kidneys play a key role in keeping your body's acid-base balance stable. When this balance tips too acidic due to diet, aging, or disease, the kidneys have to work harder. Over time, this constant overload can accelerate chronic kidney disease, CKD.
That's why a study from Royal London Hospital made headlines. They gave small doses of sodium bicarbonate or baking soda to patients in early-stage kidney disease. The result: it slowed the progression of kidney damage and even reduced the rate of kidney function decline. It works because baking soda helps neutralize acid buildup in the blood, easing the burden on the kidneys. Think of it as taking weight off a tired runner's back.
So, how do you use it? Start small. Mix a quarter teaspoon of baking soda into a cup of water and drink it after a meal no more than 3 times per week. And here's the critical part. If you already have kidney disease or high blood pressure, don't use this without medical supervision. Sodium intake must be carefully monitored in those conditions.
Exactly. But if you're still in the early stages or just trying to protect your kidneys proactively, this could be one of the simplest and most affordable tools available. Let's move forward. The next benefit might sound strange, but it's about your mouth. Yes, baking soda can change the way your teeth and gums age.
Another matter is inflammation, specifically the kind that hides in your joints and muscles. If you wake up stiff in the morning, have trouble opening jars, or feel sore for no clear reason, low-grade chronic inflammation could be playing a role.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is that baking soda, something we keep in the kitchen, may help calm this type of inflammation through a totally different pathway than most people expect. A study at Augusta University in the US showed that when animals and humans were given baking soda in water, it shifted their immune response. Specifically, it activated M2 macrophages, the calming immune cells, and decreased M1 macrophages, which are the ones that increase inflammation.
So we're not talking about numbing pain like painkillers. We're talking about resetting your immune system's default setting, away from attack mode and back toward healing mode. And when you reduce that background noise of inflammation, your joints feel looser, your muscles recover better, and you simply move with more freedom.
The way to use it is very simple. You take a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, stir it into a glass of warm water around body temperature, and drink it once or twice a week, preferably in the morning and on an empty stomach, or at least an hour before eating. But don't overdo it. This isn't a cure-all, and more is not better. Think of it as a gentle support for your overall anti-inflammatory lifestyle, including good sleep, anti-inflammatory foods, and light exercise.
And again, if you have high blood pressure or kidney issues, talk to your doctor. But for many people over 60, this tiny step could help their body feel less stiff, less swollen, and more at ease. Now, let's move to a benefit you might never have linked to baking soda oral health and gum aging.
Now let's face it, bad breath can be embarrassing, but more importantly, it can be a signal. As we age, dry mouth gum recession and changes in oral pH make it easier for bacteria to grow, especially the kind that thrive in acidic environments. That's exactly where baking soda steps in. It's a gentle alkalizing agent that can help restore balance inside the mouth. By neutralizing acids after meals or during dry mouth episodes, it makes the environment less friendly for odor-causing bacteria.
In fact, the American Dental Association ADA has acknowledged that baking soda can reduce plaque and bacteria without harming enamel. That's a big deal for people over 60 who may already have thinning enamel or exposed roots. And it's not just about breath. Keeping your mouth slightly more alkaline may help protect your gums from inflammation and slow the progression of periodontal disease, which is linked to heart health too.
Now, how do we use it? Very simple. Just take a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, mix it with a small glass of warm water, about 100 to 150 milliliter, and use it as a mouth rinse once a day, ideally in the evening after brushing. Swish gently for 30 seconds, then spit it out. Don't swallow. And here's an important note. Don't brush your teeth with it directly. While baking soda is gentle as a rinse, it can be too abrasive when used with a toothbrush. Daily, especially for seniors with sensitive enamel.
Think of it as a way to reset your mouth's pH, freshen your breath, and create a healthier foundation, all from something already in your kitchen. Now that your mouth is fresh, let's talk about what baking soda can do deep inside your body, starting with your kidneys and circulation.
Next, have you ever woken up feeling tired even after a full night's sleep? Or maybe you get through breakfast only to feel drained by 10 a.m. That kind of fatigue is extremely common in people over 60. But what if I told you that some of it isn't just about age, it's about your body's internal environment?
Exactly. One overlooked factor is acid-base balance inside the body. As we get older, our metabolism slows, kidney function declines, and we tend to accumulate more low-grade acidity in our tissues. This state, called low-grade metabolic acidosis, doesn't cause sudden illness, but it silently drains energy, affects muscle performance, and can even worsen inflammation. That's where baking soda comes in, not as a stimulant, but as a biological buffer. It helps neutralize excess acid, restore a slightly alkaline environment, and support cellular respiration, the process your cells use to turn oxygen and nutrients into usable energy. Several clinical observations and studies on older adults suggest that mild alkalization improves fatigue, symptoms enhances oxygen utilization, and even reduces perceived exertion during daily tasks like walking or gardening.
So how do we use it for this purpose? Very simple. Mix a quarter teaspoon of baking soda into 200 ml of lukewarm water and drink it in the morning, ideally on an empty stomach or 30 to 60 minutes before light activity. Think of it as an internal reset to prepare your cells for the day. One small glass can mean the difference between a sluggish morning and a day with more clarity, motivation, and movement. Just remember, don't exceed the dose or frequency. 2 or 3 times per week is plenty for this purpose. And now that we've covered energy, let's move on to another area where baking soda can make a surprising difference: your joints.
Last but not least, let's talk about something almost everyone over 60 struggles with: sleep. You go to bed on time, but either can't fall asleep, wake up multiple times, or get up feeling like you barely slept. What many people don't realize is that your internal pH, yes, the acid-alkaline balance, affects your nervous system, especially at night. As we age, we tend to become more sympathetic dominant, meaning our fight or flight nervous system stays slightly activated even at night. This leads to light fragmented sleep and, in many cases, early morning waking. But when your body's pH becomes a little more alkaline, it can signal the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest branch, to take over. And that's when true deep sleep happens. There's a small but insightful study that showed when the body was in a mildly alkaline state before bed, sympathetic nervous activity dropped and heart rate variability improved, both markers of deeper, more restorative sleep.
So here's the simple technique we recommend. Mix a quarter teaspoon of baking soda into 150 milliliters of warm water, not hot, just gently warm. Drink it about 1 hour before bedtime. Don't eat or drink anything else afterward. This gives your system time to adjust and calm down. It's not a sedative, it won't knock you out. But it helps create a biological environment that favors rest both mentally and physically.
Try it for 5 nights. You may notice falling asleep easier, waking up fewer times, and most importantly, feeling mentally clearer in the morning. Sleep is when your body heals, and baking soda, when used properly, can gently open the door for that healing process.
Something I want to add: as with any natural remedy, even something as common as baking soda, there are important safety considerations. It might look harmless sitting in your kitchen, but it still affects your internal chemistry. So who should be especially cautious? First, anyone taking diuretics, also known as water pills, needs to consult their doctor before using baking soda regularly. These medications already shift your electrolyte balance, especially potassium and sodium. Baking soda, being sodium bicarbonate, adds more sodium to the system and could worsen imbalances, leading to fatigue cramps or even heart rhythm changes in sensitive individuals. Second, people with uncontrolled high blood pressure should be very cautious. Even a small increase in sodium intake can spike blood pressure for those who are already struggling to manage it. This doesn't mean baking soda is always off limits, but it does mean medical supervision is required if you have cardiovascular risks. And third, if someone has advanced kidney disease, particularly those in stage 4 or 5 chronic kidney disease, it's best to avoid using baking soda without clinical guidance. In these cases, the kidneys can't regulate the acid-base balance properly, and adding bicarbonate externally may disrupt this fragile equilibrium.
Now, beyond medical cautions, let's talk about everyday mistakes people make, often with the right intention, but poor execution. A common error is simply taking too much. People hear that baking soda is good and think the more must be better, but using more than a half teaspoon per dose can cause bloating, belching, or even increase blood sodium. Not ideal, especially if you're already on a modern salt-rich diet. Another frequent mistake is taking baking soda on an empty stomach. That might sound logical to some, especially for acid reflux, but doing so can actually irritate the stomach lining in sensitive individuals and cause digestive upset or gas. It's much gentler on the body if you wait at least 30 to 60 minutes after eating before taking it. And one more mistake we've seen is mixing baking soda with acidic liquids like hot lemon water or hot vinegar. While it's true that some natural health blogs recommend this combo, the result is a strong effervescent reaction that not only neutralizes the acid, but also can become hard to control. It may cause spilling irritation or unstable pH effects when consumed. If you're going to mix it with acidic ingredients, make sure the reaction happens completely before drinking, or just avoid this method altogether.
To sum it up, baking soda can be powerful and safe, but only if you respect its boundaries. Know your body starts small, and never think more is always better. A little bit of knowledge and caution turns this kitchen staple into a tool for healing, not a risk.
Finally, let's be clear, baking soda isn't a miracle cure. It won't replace your medications or make up for years of poor habits, but it is one of the most accessible, affordable, and surprisingly effective tools you can add to your wellness routine if you use it the right way. Just one small pinch taken purposefully can help reset your internal environment and support your body in doing what it's meant to do: heal, balance, and restore.
I love what you just said, because the truth is, your body doesn't need expensive solutions. It needs timing, it needs consistency, and it needs you to pay attention. A small glass of water, a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, taken at the right time, that's enough to begin shifting your internal chemistry toward a better balance. The key is to listen. How does your body respond? Do you feel lighter, calmer, more rested? Start there. Don't rush. Let this be a gentle experiment, one step closer to a healthier, more vibrant life after 60.
Maybe you've used baking soda to clean your sink or to bake a cake. But have you ever considered using it to calm your stomach, reduce inflammation, or sleep better? If not, let this be your sign. Share your thoughts in the comments. What result are you curious to try? First, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we explore.